Hello, good evening. In the last 10 years, councils here have given the go-ahead to hundreds of developments despite being warned that they posed a flood risk. Natural Resources Wales, formerly the Environment Agency, gives advice to local authorities about planning applications, including the risk of flooding. Wales Today has learned that between 2004 and last year, councils here ignored that advice 341 times.
We've got a housing crisis in Wales, as we do throughout the UK. Land, therefore, is a necessity to develop for building, and the lack of land means that some local authorities get desperate and develop land that is prone to flooding.
When you have work done on your home, how do you know the tradesman can be trusted? Tonight we look at what can go wrong and find ways to avoid getting into trouble.
This is wrong. We should be doing something about this, and this shouldn't be happening in a modern civilised nation like Wales. At this moment, the situation is that you or anybody with no experience whatever, your granny, can set themselves up as a builder today and tomorrow be in someone's house making structural alterations. There's nothing to prevent that. And we don't think that's right, and the UK is actually the only country in the westernised world that doesn't regulate or licence their building domestic market in some way or other. I've suffered a loss of a child, and I think when I heard of the tragic death of young Meg, I thought, well, I know I had some sort of understanding of what their parents were going through. And yes, it did strike a chord deeply with me and moved me to do as much as I can to make sure, amend the situation, to make sure we've got a proper professional body in Wales.
Next month, FMB Cymru is bringing together a group of people, including representatives of the Welsh Government, to discuss how a licensing system for the estimated 5,000 domestic builders in Wales could be created.
The problem is finding which model would work best for Wales, and I think that's where our research programme would come in, is to find out, well, which model would work best in this country, given that the UK government seemed to be minded not to look to further regulation.
Many builders, such as Paul Tedder of Cardiff, support regulation.
If you had a licensing system, it would force the industry and all those operating in the industry to take the safety aspects of the building seriously. And I think it would improve the standard of the workmanship that we get, because it would eliminate the people who are out there trying to make a living in a field that they perhaps have no experience or training or understanding of.
But a union that represents construction workers says it's endangering the lives of their members. Well, let's speak to Evan Glynn now, who's the Public Affairs Executive for the Federation of Master Builders Cymru. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Are you concerned by this?
Yes, we are, very much so. But we'd actually take it a step further. The system as it is at the moment, it's essentially they spot check domestic builders. What we'd like to see is a system, a licensing system come into play in Wales. The UK is the only country in the Western world that don't regulate their domestic builders properly. And we'd like this to change.
Richard Jenkins is director of the Federation of Master Builders Cymru. Is it good news for you too, Richard?
The weather is affecting us really, really badly, and so any good news is always a help. But at the moment, builders are clever, experienced men. We're used to bad winters, and we're used to dealing with weather when you can't work outside. But this is getting ridiculous now, and I think a lot of people are having a lot of trouble structuring their work plans in order to keep the work inside while the weather's bad.
Listening to this, I'll say, well, one of the problems is I can't get hold of a builder, and I can't get hold of a reliable builder. Where do I go?
Well, I'm obviously going to say try our website, the FMB website, and you'll be able to put your job on our Find a Builder website, and you should be able to get a reliable, experienced and inspected builder to help you out, to give you a quote on the work, and also turn up in an emergency situation as well.
And should people respond to those guys who go around knocking on doors offering to do the work for them?
Oh, please don't. Please don't. Make sure, no matter, if you don't go to the FMB website, then please make sure you use a recommended builder from a friend, a neighbour, someone who's done the work before. We are really got a huge problem with these guys who go around saying they can do this work, and half the time they haven't got the experience or the knowledge to do it properly.
Richard, thank you very much indeed. Some sound advice there at the end.
Developing huge housing estates means Britain looks the same wherever you live, and cutting out local builders. That's the criticism of the Federation of Master Builders. They say local authorities bear part of the blame for releasing huge parcels of land which are just too big for small companies to buy. Now they're calling on the Welsh Government to instruct councils to change the way they designate sites.
94% of building companies in Wales employ fewer than 14 people. The Federation of Master Builders say they simply can't compete with bigger companies who can build hundreds of homes at a time. And the Welsh Government should step in and address the issue.
We have to allow better opportunities for our local businesses and developers who have a stake in the local economy and a stake in the local community to develop and grow for the benefit of the local community.
In Pont-y-Ffraeth, Kevin will still be on site then. He's not looking to compete with the big names, he says, but the chance to develop sites for a few houses at a time would keep him and thousands more builders like him in full-time work for years to come.
We've been lobbying the Welsh Government for some time now to release funds for a research project, and about 6 months ago they agreed to release some funds, and there's actually research ongoing at the moment into a potential system of regulation or licensing system for domestic builders in Wales. At the moment, my grandmother can call herself a builder, set herself as a builder, put a number in the yellow pages and be in someone's house the next day making structural alterations to that house. And in our opinion, that's not right.
The tragic cases that we hear are where people have lost their life savings. People ring us up, the builder they used wasn't a member of the FMB, but they've got nowhere else to turn. What do I do about this? I've been ripped off. I've lost my life savings on a disastrous job. What can I do?
Good evening. Construction workers could be at risk because of a fall in the number of inspections being made to building sites.
Another union, the Federation of Master Builders, says a licensing system is needed to keep employers in check.
At the moment there's nothing stopping my grandmother from setting herself up as a builder, going into someone's house and making structural alterations to that house. She can be punished afterwards if anything happens, but in the first instance there's nothing stopping her from doing that, and in our opinion that's not right. We'd like to see smaller builders building more of our houses, and that is mainly through the planning system. We'd like to see land being released in smaller parts. By empowering the smaller builder, we believe that we'd eventually be able to meet that demand for houses.